how are you? My name is Daniel Cámac. I am a Deputy Country Manager of Engie Peru, and today I'm going to talk about hydrogen. First, I would like to mention the commitment that Engie currently has at a global level on moving towards this carbon-neutral economy and becoming a key agent to support our clients to move towards reducing emissions worldwide. Engie has a presence in 70 countries with more than 170,000 employees and with more than 200 million in investment in recent years, particularly in the development of innovative technology area. We are leaders in the areas of electrical energy generation, energy services, and natural gas infrastructure. In Latin America, Peru, along with other countries like Chile, Mexico, and Argentina, are part of the Latin American Business Unit. And we have been working for more than 23 years in Peru in the electrical energy generation industry. As you can see in this slide, we started operations 23 years ago in Ilo City with a generation system that was owned at that time by Southern Peru, and which later became part of Engie's assets. We have been growing from that generation to currently have around 2,500 megawatts that we have made available to the Peruvian electrical market, especially to the industrial sector and particularly to the mining industry. Upon the arrival of the camisea gas, we have transformed our diesel generation to use a lower CO2 emission fuel. We have incorporated hydroelectric power stations, and recently we have begun the operation of our Inti Pampa station, that is a solar station in Moquegua, where we have around 150,000 solar panels, and we provide energy to the system. This is the background of our growth so far. But the future that we are projecting, particularly for Peru, is a 100% renewable development with a pipeline that includes the development of solar and aeolic energy projects of more than 1,000 megawatts for the upcoming years. At the same time, we are closing, for example, our Ilo station, which we installed in 2000 and which uses carbon. So our goal is to move towards this carbon-neutral economy and with this portfolio pipeline to play an important role in the renewable sector for the reliable and massive supply for hydrogen development, as we are going to show you in the following slides. What access is the Engie Group been implementing internationally in this energy transition? As you can see, these access are represented by three concepts: decarbonization in all of our operations and our clients' operations as well, digitization and decentralization, to precisely develop this infrastructure to get the generation closer to the consumers, and thus avoid the entire supply, transportation, and distribution chain, which, besides causing loss, also causes inefficiency in the market. Therefore, our solutions are based essentially on energy efficiency and particularly on supplying clients with energy, heating, and cooling services. And regarding carbon emission reduction, obviously on the use of biogas, biomass, hydrogen, and wind, solar, and water energy infrastructure. And regarding the international infrastructure development, our strength and experience are focused on the development of natural gas networks, and also the installation, operation, and maintenance of electrical transmission and distribution networks, and also on water desalination solutions for providing both the cities and the mining industry with water. So this is, in a nutshell, the solutions that are our base for a transition towards carbon reduction. And why are we talking about hydrogen today? Actually, hydrogen has had a lot of important features for a long time. It is the first element on the periodic table, and it was discovered in 1766 by Henry Cavendish. And since then, it has been used for several developments and solutions. Actually, if we review history, the first car that was fueled by hydrogen was developed in the 1800s. And currently, we are once again talking about this type of solution. Some important characteristics that make hydrogen this large energetic transformation driver are the following. First, its high chemical energy density. Hydrogen produces almost 40 kilowatts hour per each kilogram. If we compare this with the lithium batteries, these batteries produce less than 0.3 kilowatts hour per kilogram. This high density serves for massive use. And another important characteristic is that hydrogen is a little more than 14 times lighter than air. So all of this makes the future development of hydrogen to become the large driver of this energetic transformation required by the industry. What is the technology that is being used nowadays? Essentially, we are using electrolysis. This is the solution we are focusing on. To incorporate electric energy to water and separate oxygen from hydrogen. As you can see in the lower left image, you can see an electrolyzer that helps to separate these two elements. And this hydrogen is being used to develop fuel cells that in turn are being used as storage and transportation of energy systems to move vehicle or other elements, as we are going to show later. And where are we going? Because this is not something new. The process of electrolysis has been done for a long time, but maybe the new aspect is to talk about green hydrogen. And green hydrogen, by using the same characteristic and using as basic supply water and electric energy from renewable energy, allows us to generate a renewable hydrogen or green hydrogen. That is going to provide a long-term sustainability, and that is able to use in different industries. Hydrogen is highly versatile, and because it's renewable, it produces zero emissions. And because of these characteristics that we just mentioned, hydrogen may be easily stored and moved. So this represents the value chain of green hydrogen. And this is our objectives as countries that have a large renewable potential as Peru. We aim at producing green hydrogen in a massive way to satisfy not only the internal needs of the industry or our economic activities, but also to export this green hydrogen to those countries that lack these renewable resources, as many countries in the world. Why hydrogen? As I was mentioning before, hydrogen is an element that may be used with zero emissions in vehicles, industries, heating, cooling, and may be used for different solutions in the industry. But at the same time, and by using fuel cells, Hydrogen provides autonomy and also an energy supply during low seasons. And this is going to allow us to keep reliable energy supply all year long. And above all, by using this support, hydrogen is going to help to accelerate the industrial decarbonization process, especially in those industries that are large consumers and that produce large amounts of emissions because they are using diesel or other types of fuel. And this is our vision. I was talking about this before. Countries like Peru have the possibility now to produce in a massive way, supported by technology development and cost reduction, that this renewable generation is experiencing. So we're going to be able to produce hydrogen by using aeolic and wind and water projects. And this is going to allow us to provide energy to the intensive requirement industries, such as mining, and also the development and production of ammoniac, and also the concrete industry or the steel industry. These industries are the large consumers of intensive energy, but at the same time is going to help us to provide several resources with energy. We are going to supply electricity, heating, cooling, storage, transportation, and others. So this is going to make a lot of solutions to be supplied by hydrogen. And at the same time, it's going to allow us to produce more hydrogen, to store it, and also to transport it. And this is the great advantage of hydrogen if we compare it with other elements that may generate the same kind of solutions. Hydrogen is easily moved to other countries and in large distances, especially to these other regions that don't have renewable resources or the required technology as other countries like Peru and Chile, especially in Latin America. So we are going to be able to export hydrogen to these other countries, and in turn, this hydrogen is going to be used for the solutions in their industries. At Engie, in fact, we have been working for several years in this solution, and we have this vision, and we have created a business unit especially to create hydrogen solutions. We have started to work in global scale projects that we are going to describe in the following slides, but that are being developed in different parts of the world, not only in Latam, but also in Africa, Australia, and Europe. And also in different types of industries, transportation, production of fertilizers, explosives, transportation in the mining industry, and others. These are large projects that nowadays are allowing us to verify all the potential of hydrogen. And after the development of these pilot projects, we are going to move to an intensive industrial development. And this is not only a strategy for Peru in particular or for Chile in particular. Hydrogen around the world is becoming a large engine of development, and countries are adopting this long-term vision. We can see in this slide an example of this, of all the commitments that countries in Asia like China, Japan, or South Korea are adopting. They have the purpose to intensively develop hydrogen. And some countries are not talking about green hydrogen because they don't have the renewable resources to do so. And they are producing hydrogen from carbon and natural gas. We are only a few countries that can produce the same amount of hydrogen, but by using green technology. We can see that Chile has the purpose to become the largest producer of green hydrogen by 2030. United States has the objective to install almost 40 gigawatts of renewable electrolyzers to produce green hydrogen. And we can see that Canada and all these countries are adopting this commitment to produce hydrogen and to use it in their industries and probably to export it. So for Peru, the mining industry is the main focus for this transition towards the hydrogen development. And also the mining industry uses all these resources, all this electric energy in an intensive way. But at the same time, it also produces all these elements, metallic and non-metallic elements that may be used in the electric industry. So we are seeing this virtuous cycle to produce a green mineral by using renewable energy, and in turn this green mineral is going to allow a larger development. And here we are seeing the concept of mining decarbonization as a service. And also we are seeing that the essential concept is that all this development in the infrastructure or the capital expenditures or CapEx to develop this infrastructure is going to become an OpEx. In this way, the development costs are going to be afforded by the mining company during their operations. And this commitment, obviously, we are seeing it at the global level for the global mining companies to make this transition transparent, this transition to decarbonization and towards a carbon neutral economy. We have commitments, and we can see these curves for some mining companies to transit in 2030 and also 2050 to reduce these emissions. And after 2030, moving towards 2050, this is going to be an accelerated transition to achieve this carbon neutrality. This example made by global companies is being copied by national mining companies around the world. And we are working by supporting these companies to move towards this goal. And please note that this is going to allow us in general to solve this dilemma that we have for renewable energy generation. Nowadays, the participation of solar and aeolic energy participation in Peru's energy matrix is limited. And this is due because it offers a lot of benefits, but also weaknesses. The weakness is that the resource is not always available, being wind or sun, and this makes a supplementary energy necessary to guarantee a 24-hour reliable supply. Therefore, the different energy solutions as hydroelectricity, natural gas, or RER present contrasting privileges or purposes. On the one hand, some are environmentally better, but on the other hand, the solutions are the ones that are not very reliable. And this graphic shows the situation. That is why we have to seek for a reasonable balance in the development of these technologies. Now, hydrogen plays a particularly important role in this situation, as hydrogen may enable the storage of the energy excess that may be produced when the renewable resource is available, in order to use it when it is no longer available. We are able to store this energy to use it later. So this is the great advantage of hydrogen to help, in addition, to make the intensive development of renewable solutions feasible and viable. And at the same time, this massive development of renewable energy will allow for the intensive production of hydrogen to use in such developments. So we can see the significance of this interaction and how the cycle is being closed for the benefit of all its elements. And here, Peru plays a significant role with eolic, hydroelectric, and solar stations. We all know the high levels of radiation in the south of the country of 5.5 to 6.5 kilowatts hour per square meter, or the strong winds from the central and northern coast, and also the abundance of our hydroelectric resources. This makes Peru capable of producing this energy and providing hydrogen. And please note how these costs have been reducing over time. The left chart is showing how the solar energy, for example, around 2009 to 2010, the famous LCOE, the cost of technology development, was around $350 per megawatt hour, and now is below $50. And also eolic energy, which was around 150 and now is below $50. And the same situation, which is the standard international information, is happening in Peru. The first solar supplies installed in Peru were around $220 per megawatt hour, and the most recent ones are around $45 to $48 per megawatt hour. So this is the situation now in Peru, and it has made the renewable technologies competitive against natural gas usage, and even more against hydroelectric energy. And on the right side, we can see a similar chart, but that has incorporated, for example, the storage batteries. And these storage batteries have seen a maybe more accelerated price reduction in recent years, going from almost 600 to 150. Something similar is going to happen to fuel cells, providing that the production cost of these renewable energies goes down. Not only thanks to this technology context that you can see here, but because of a more intensive development. And the truth is that this is not only cost-related. When we start to compare the advantages of renewable generation against natural gas and hydroelectricity, we can see benefits not only at the cost level or even the development, the capex or the social cost, but also in the environmental impact, the implementation timeframes. No doubt the renewable sources hold the first place in all these aspects. These stations can be installed in 1.5 to 2 years. They don't need such complex environmental instruments as the other solutions. And nowadays, as we have presented, their development costs are way below the hydroelectric station costs and are very close to the natural gas costs. Even in Peru, where, as we know, we are gas producers and therefore this resource price is very competitive in the international market. However, renewable energies have reached this competitive level already. The opportunity is not only based on these aspects, but we are also seeing a need to produce green minerals and to reduce the carbon footprint. Therefore, the mining companies have this increasing requirement and also the need of copper to use in the transportation of electric energy is growing. Nowadays, a hydroelectric vehicle requires 4 times the amount of copper than a traditional vehicle. And this demand is surely going to increase over time. Therefore, the need to produce green copper is going to the solutions of hydroelectric transportation to be done with significant lower carbon emissions. And what are our current hydrogen experiences? This is a great example in the Netherlands, where Engie provides hydrogen for the passenger train. The name of this train is Cordia Aligned, which was developed in collaboration with the Alstom company, and which works by using a fuel tank and also fuel cells based on hydrogen, which produce the electric energy for the power, the drive, and movement of this train. Therefore, the only emissions of this process are steam and water, instead of generating CO2 emissions or particulate material or any other elements generated by traditional transportation. In addition, the pilot projects being developed by Engie are highly focused on the mining sector. We have mentioned before this Engie Anglo-American Association to develop the first mining truck of 300 tons to change the diesel tank by a hydrogen tank, and by doing so, to be able to change all the drive system to a combination of fuel cells and also batteries. And we are running a pilot project on this in a South African mine. And as you can see in this slide, what Engie is providing is the hydrogen. And this is being developed through a solar station that supplies the green electric energy. And this green electric energy enters the hydrolyzer to separate hydrogen from water. The hydrogen is stored and compressed and then is being used in the truck's hydrogen fuel tanks. But at the same time, please note that part of this same electric energy produced by the solar station also serves the energy requirement from the mine. It serves for its engines, for transportation in its different processes, in maybe the crushing stage or the milling stage, or even during the flotation stage. Therefore, all the mining operations are being supplied by green energy, as we can see here in this slide. And what we expect regarding emission reduction in 1 year is about 700,000 tons, which is a very significant amount. The idea is, if this pilot project is successful, it could be implemented in all the operations of Anglo-American, which has around 28,000 of these kind of trucks. Please imagine the huge significance of this emission reduction that will be equal to reduce all the emissions of a country such as New Zealand or Finland, for example. And we are talking about such a considerable magnitude in this type of operations. Another example is the work being conducted by Engie in collaboration with ENX. As you know, ENX is one of the largest producers of ammoniac in the world. In this case, we are also using a solar station installed in Antofagasta to supply the electric energy to the hydrogen station, where the hydrolyzer is located, and once again, hydrogen is separated from water, and this hydrogen becomes the resource to produce ammoniac. And as you know, the ammoniac is an important material to produce explosives that in turn are being used for the mining operations. So this is an example of a pilot project being conducted in Chile currently. And we also have another important project in Chile, the Hydra project. That is a collaboration among different partners such as Engie, Mining Tree, C0, and Corfo, that is the promotion agency, which has contributed with this development and innovation in Chile. And that has the goal of designing a powertrain for mining vehicles to be 100% powered by hydrogen. At the same time, the objective is to guarantee a production, storage, and recharging of hydrogen chain. If this project is successful, we are going to duplicate it in other mining operations. It's a project that we are working currently, and it's the great bet that Chile is making to use hydrogen in pilot projects and afterwards to take them to their whole production. This is a commitment that doesn't only involve private companies, but also corporations and even governments, because this commitment requires incentive mechanisms to go towards a low-cost hydrogen production. Nowadays, the hydrogen production is not as competitive as it should be, and we are expecting to reduce costs for the renewable sources and to get hydrogen under $2 in production. And maybe for some researchers, this is the important point, to use hydrogen in an intensive way. So this is what I wanted to share with you regarding our experiences with hydrogen around the world and that we are expecting to produce in Peru. Thank you very much.